But hell yeah,
Hell,
welcome in Raiders. Welcome in Raiders. Shout out Married to Mary Jane.
hell yeah. Hell yeah. D Jolly was fucking poor guy. He was starting to itch, he's getting that. I need my organic talk.
Right?
Shit.
If I could have
Yeah.
talked a little more clear at the beginning, then maybe. But yeah.
Oh, you're good, brother. Shit. If y'all don't know, man, Gob is stunting on all of us. He went and saw Johnny Dang. Look at that. Bah!
Wow.
Stunting on all of us, yo. Shit. Hell yeah, that looks good. That looks good, Gob. How's it feel? You able to eat yet?
Soft stuff. Like I can't like cut a little piece of steak and eat that yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Hell yeah. Good shit, bro. Good shit. I gotta get into the dentist, man. I got a temporary cap on a tooth that was going bad. Like it had cracked in half, right?
Okay.
And so I go into the dentist and they're like, well, we'll put a temporary cap on it. Come back in like 6 months. Right? Because I had to wait for insurance to kick in. Right. So I came so like, now my mouth, I can feel the tooth is like I told the dentist when I went in there, I'm like, just take it out, bro. Just take it out. We'll put another tooth in there, later down the road, but just take it out. I know it's done. It's not gonna, there's nothing, you can't save it. And he goes, no, we can save it. We can save it. And as I'm looking at it now, like I can feel it. Like, bro, you can't save that tooth. It's done. Just
Well,
take it the fuck out.
even if they can't save it when they come around back to it, right? The tooth being in that spot for the last few months while you're figuring out what you're going to do with it is saving the bone in your jaw.
Oh.
So as soon as you get all your teeth removed, your bone starts decaying a little bit. And it makes it harder to get implants. It makes it harder to fix it.
Oh shit.
Later in the future. So leaving that tooth in there, even though it might have been shitty and like, it was probably the best move for right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, you put it like that, that makes sense. But I'm sitting here like, I thought after I got this temporary feeling, I'd be able to sit there and like, my mouth will go back to normal. Nah, bro, I can't chew on that side of my mouth. I've had a temporary cap that's popped off before, right? And and I ate it. I didn't know, but shit, it just popped off, right? So I didn't want that to happen, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just chewing on the fucking left side of my mouth now.
Mm-hmm. And then you get more wear and tear on the side that you're chewing on, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Enough with the whole dentist stuff.
I know, right? I use that fucking. You ever use that charcoal toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
That shit, like, it wasn't when I used it. It was like the Colgate brand, right? And it's supposed to like help whiten your teeth and shit. And I smoke cigarettes like a motherfucker, right? So my shit's stained. I know they're fucking stained. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna bleach my teeth. Let me just do the charcoal thing and see what that works out. I'm thinking like, your mouth is gonna be completely black and shit. No, it's just like regular ass toothpaste.
Yeah, I've tried that and it works. It does work well. But here's the thing. If your enamel is damaged, it's not going to work well. Your enamel is the part that makes it look like you have like whiter teeth. And no matter what, everybody's dentin, the layer that's underneath your enamel, everybody's dentin is yellow. Everybody.
Oh, shit.
So if you don't really have that much enamel, your teeth are going to look yellow. So the best move would be to try to rebuild the enamel so that you can have some of that white sheen.
Oh, shit. I don't even know you could build enamel back. That's true.
Yeah, there's like there's toothpastes and certain stuff that you can use, but yeah.
I always thought toothpaste was a fucking scam. I always thought it was like, oh, you could have the triple striped toothpaste with the white and the yellow and the or the white, the red and the blue or whatever, right? You know, I always thought it was like a scam. Like
Well,
toothpaste is toothpaste.
you're kind of not half wrong. If you're a
Oh,
healthy person with a healthy mouth, you don't even need to use toothpaste. You just take your toothbrush and, but if you got problems, you need the fluoride, you need the chemicals to help kill off the problems. Like, I don't like fluoride. I don't like fluoride in my water. It's not a great chemical, but at the end of the day, it is useful for people that do have issues.
oh yeah.
So like if you got great mouth and you've always had a great teeth, and you don't even really need to use toothpaste. You just make sure you brush all that gunk away, rinse out, and you're good to go. Make sure you do it a couple times a day. Even the dentist will tell you that. But most
Oh,
people's
shit.
mouth isn't that healthy. So
Yeah.
but on the topic of organic growing, I did see a couple of people talking about how it's kind of hard to grow large plants in a smaller container organically. And that's somewhat true. Just like any other medium, you can grow a 4 or 5 foot plant in a 4-inch Rockwell cube, but that's going to be harder to do than if you did it in a 6-inch Rockwell cube. You're going to have to fertigate more. You're going to have to fertilize more. There's more things you're going to have to do in order to maintain that plant in such a small amount of medium. So whether it's organic or inorganic, it really doesn't matter. You can grow really large plants in a small container. But my question is, why? That plant is going to take up the space above it when it's that large of a plant. And now you're going to have hardly anything below it for no reason, when you could have a large battery of medium that would protect you against any faults in your or your equipment
Yeah.
workings.
You also run into less problems.
That's
So
that's
like,
my question is why is everybody trying, or not everybody, why is many people trying to grow the largest plant in the smallest container? Because
yeah,
the only reason to do that is for fun. There is no reason to get more medicine, to get better that isn't a reason. The only reason to do that is for fun.
yeah, my frosted cobbler, the pheno hunt that I was doing that ended up being all females.
Yo,
Uh,
idiom.
hey, uh, they've been going in 3 gallons for about 3 months now, and that's 3 months too, or that's like 2 months too long. Right? I planted these things way too early. I wasn't anticipating them all to be females. Right? I just this whole hunt kind of like threw me off. Right? So now I got these big ass monster plants that are grown organically in these little small pots, and they've outgrown these pots a long time ago. And I've had to top feed and top feed and top feed to keep them going. Because I don't know if any of you guys have been in my stream, but my plants started yellowing out and they started getting hungry,
Right?
and they pretty much depleted the soil of all the nutrients. And me top feeding was kind of like a last resort. Most of the time, I would like to transplant before anything starts yellowing, because that new transplant's got, or that new soil that you put it in has got the nutrients to help it keep going. And I fucking fumbled this. So these things are up there, these big ass monsters. They're fucking flowering up there, or they're vegging out up there. And I know as soon as I go to take them out of their buckets, the root system is gonna be, it's gonna look like one of those pictures that you see on fucking Instagram of these dudes. They pull out these plants,
Huge roots,
and
yeah.
yeah, these big ass root balls. Right? That's not necessarily good. That's your plant starts stressing out, right? It's running out of room. Like, plant wants to stretch out and,
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, no matter whether you're growing an organic or in an inorganic medium and you're using salts or not, the plant want the feeder roots. They go across the top of the soil and they want more surface area laterally. They don't give a fuck about anything else. So if you want to feed your plant more nutrients, whether that's organic or inorganic, you're going to want a larger surface area. That's just end of story. Like, you can get all the root ball crazy packed and, nothing but roots, and that's all you see in this medium. And it kind of looks cool, but the plant does not like it. Plant likes to spread its roots out. That's how it can hold itself up in the wind. That's how it can do so many different things that it's trying to do and protect itself. And you're kind of handicapping it by keeping it in such a small container. Like, even trees, like we got bonsai trees, right? And
Oh,
we'll
love
keep
bonsai
them
trees.
nice and small, and trim them, and everybody likes the way bonsais look, but those take lots of hands-on work. Every week you got to take that plant out of its planter and trim the roots, put it back in. You got to trim the you know uh, atypical
All the
stems that
leaves,
are
all the
they're
foliage.
shooting off. You got to maintain that plant very closely in order to keep it such a small miniaturized thing.
Yeah.
And it's cool, and if that's a hobby of yours, that's awesome. But if you're looking for production on a plant, that's probably not the way you want to grow the plant.
Nah. Nah. Speaking of bonsais, bro, I saw this 2,000-year-old, or this over 2,000-year-old bonsai tree, and I was like, nah, there's no fucking way, yo. 2,000 years, that thing, nah, you're fucking tripping balls. But sure as shit, there was a piece of the trunk that was open, and like you could see all the rings. And I don't know if y'all know, but the way you age a tree is like when they cut a tree down, they'll see how old it is by how many rings is on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the rings will tell you, this ring is this year or this many years kind of thing. And it was this bonsai tree was so layered in in layers that it was like 2,000 years old. They had a hard time, like,
Actually telling
counting
me,
how many rings. Holy
because
shit,
they
dude.
get so close together when the tree gets old like that. The rings get so close together, it's hard to tell what's an actual ring anymore because it's just kind of solid.
Yeah, and that's what it looked like. I'm looking at the rings like, there's no rings there. Those are just lines. Like, yeah, that's crazy, yo. But yeah, the roots. So I had this theory. You call me crazy, right?
Mhm.
And this might be a proven fact. It might not be. I don't know. I might be fucking just pulling this out of my ass. But like, if you take two seeds, right? You put two seeds in different size containers, right? One's in a 1 gallon, one's in a 3 gallon. Right. I have this theory that the plant, after it sprouts its initial stalk out of the soil, it it somehow knows how much room it has to spread out, right? Because at a certain point, they're going to stop growing together. One's going to start growing faster. One's going to be like, all right, well, I've reached my walls kind of thing. This is as far as I can grow. While the other one is like, I still got room to spread my roots out, kind of, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That was my whole theory. Like, these plants,
You're not
they have a
wrong.
way of knowing.
You're not wrong. As soon as they run into a wall with the roots, they're just going to start going down. And when they start going down, that root turns into, from a feeder root, and turns into a root that looks for water. All the roots that are going deep into your soil, those are the ones that are looking for water. Yes, they do absorb some nutrients, but they're looking mainly for water. And then all the roots that stay in the top couple inches, those are all your
Mhm.
feeder roots. And those are eating, actively eating. And that's why we're
Yeah.
always talking about having a mulch layer, having to keep that layer nice and moist so that those roots don't, have any stress. We're always talking about top dressing a little bit here and there so that we're always feeding the microbes right on the top, because we really want to cultivate that top couple of inches of soil, because that's where all the feeder roots are going to be, and that's where it's going to absorb 90% of what it's trying to eat.
Yeah, I gotta work on my keeping my topsoil dry, or keeping my topsoil moist. Uh, my first, like, I don't know, half inch or so, it fucking always dries out, and
Now,
I
here
hadn't.
is a super, super cheap thing that everybody probably has because everybody fucking uses Amazon. Amazon cardboard box. You cut that bitch to fit exactly on top of your soil. and it keeps the moisture in, and it still allows some breathability because it's cardboard. Boom.
Ooh. Tips from Gob. Damn you, Goblin. Now I gotta fucking cut a box out and shit. Oh,
Yo,
shit.
shout out One Love for the sub.
Thank you, Gobs, for everything
Yeah.
you've done for me and many others. Thank you for being a good friend and teacher.
Hell yeah.
All the love,
So I
support,
had,
knowledge. Also, thank you for being
hey,
open
if
to
you're
new
watching this, you
friendship.
guys are
Hope
gonna
you're
laugh,
having a
right?
blessed day. Glad to see you back. Look
But
at that smile.
over this last weekend, I think it was this last weekend or something, I had my worm bin, right? And I'm just checking on them. You know, I usually spray the worm bin down about once a week just to keep it moist. It's been a little bit warm, so it's been, you know, the water's been evaporating a little bit faster. And so I sprayed my worm bin down, and I left the lid open. I think the kids were fucking going ham. I had to go take care of them. But I came back out, and it was this long white line of I didn't know what. Right?
Oh,
I was
shit.
like, what the fuck did I spill in there? Like, holy shit. And I take a second look, and it's moving. Right? I had half an avocado, and there was fucking, you know, this line was going over it, and it was like moving. I flipped the light on, and it's a whole bunch of like these little bugs, and they were jumping off, they were climbing up the walls and then jumping off back into the soil, and I was freaking out, right? And I hit up Gob, and I go, bro, what the fuck is this? Holy shit, it's fucking moving. And I'm all sending him pictures and shit, and I know he's sitting over there laughing his ass off, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is this, bro? And I sit there and I think about it real quick, and I'm like, oh, fucking springtails. They're fucking springtails, yo. So I look again, and sure as shit, I said to him, I was like, "Hi, I know you're probably laughing your ass off, but they're springtails. I'm telling you. I bet you they're springtails." And he goes, "Yeah, they're springtails. Yep, look just like that." And so they slap their tail on the fucking on whatever surface they're on to try to avoid being eaten. Right, my boy. He said, I showed him that picture, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we go down to the bait shop and we get springtails for the frogs." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, next time, you know, if you end up getting a whole bunch of them, bro, I'll start buying springtails off of you."
Yeah, people breed these for a living and shit. Like, there's these
What?
things called insectaries, and all they do is they breed insects for reptiles and other things. It's insane.
Oh shit. That was, yeah, I thought it was a trip though, because these things are like jumping all over the place, and I'm doing this research into it. Come to find out, they're just smacking their tails on the ground or whatever surface it
Mhm.
is, and then they fly off in whatever direction. But there was, like, I'm telling you, there was millions of them, and there's just a whole line of them. Like, none of them were out of line. They were all in just one straight line. And I was, holy shit. Blew my mind. And I'm about to start my other worm box too.
Hell yeah.
So this worm box is gonna be different. I'm not gonna be using regular soil, you know, my growing soil. I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna get some native soil. I'm gonna fucking dig a little hole and get the soil out of there, and I'm gonna let the worms do their thing in there, right? Because I know you and me talked, and there's a whole bunch of different beneficial bugs in the outside world that would help in, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
decomposition and all that. The worms right now, I think they have, you know, they got the springtails and then the worms in that box breaking the shit down. But the soil outside has got, what do they call them? Arthropods?
Mhm.
Or as I know them, roly-polies, right? But those are beneficial. Those help break shit down, and you know, there's a whole bunch of other organic stuff out there, other organic bugs. I'm sorry, that help in the decomposition stage. So hopefully, I'll be able to make a whole environment of different bugs.
Oh, absolutely. Get a whole ecosystem going.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you can make D Jolly was stating, and I am going to be making a video on at some point, is collecting IMOs. Hey, shout out for the follow.
Hey.
Green and what up? But yeah, you can literally just grab some of the soil instead of making the IMOs, and you'll have those microbes. It just won't be in the same numbers as if you were to make an IMO collection. An IMO collection collects the microbes that we're talking about from the outside, the really great ones, and it makes them expand even further and further and further. So you have lots and lots of them. But you can literally go grab, a gallon of soil from outside and mix it in with your worm castings and with your regular growing soil, and it will inoculate that soil with those microbes as well.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So I'm gonna do that and see what happens, see what comes of it. I'm gonna just have the regular worm box, the one that I started with. That'll be like my control box, right? This is what the worms have done in X amount of time, kind of thing. And then I'll have another box with the outside soil in it, and I'm gonna throw some of the. Obviously, I got to mix some of the old worms into the new soil. So we'll see what kind of ecosystem it comes up with. And then eventually all that'll end up getting introduced into the earth boxes that we made, and fucking life is gonna spin from there.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. I gotta work on, but yeah, like I said, I gotta do like a top dressing kind of thing, or not a top dressing, but like a mulch layer. I don't have that, and I haven't implemented it.
Yeah,
But,
even if
yeah.
it's something cheap like a cardboard and you put it on top like that, or if you want to rip up that cardboard to where it's kind of like shredded a little bit and then put it on top, it'll work. Straw, uh, like if you go buy a bale of straw from the farm down the street, if you got one, and you chop that up and put it on top, good to go. The only time you might want to be cautious with that is sometimes there's still seed from the wheat straw in there, so you might end up growing some wheat, so you might have to weed a little, just a little. But yeah. Even if you got regular leaves like from oak trees and whatnot, if you grind those up a bit and mix those in with the cardboard or the straw, that'll also help a lot, because it'll start making a little bit of a compost right on the top layer, and you're getting your chop and drop / top dressing going right away.
Yeah.
Because you keep that little layer of moisture between the mulch layer and the soil. That breeds a really good environment for all those microbes.
Oh, okay. When I made that worm bin, I had topped it with like straw or like hay, right? I had some. I still got some. I'm actually about to mix it into the new soil mix. But I had this. It was like a nice layer on there, keep all the moisture locked into the soil and whatnot. But now when I look at it, there's no hay in there. It's gone.
Mhm.
They ate it. They composted that shit.
And that's great carbon for the soil. And carbon's like one of the, people always worry about NPK and potassium and this and that. If you have a carbon low soil, none of those ingredients are going to make it to your plant.
Oh shit.
Carbon provides the electrical pathway for all of those things to actually work. So if you have a low carbon soil, you're just not going to grow much. And you can tell you have a low carbon soil by how light it is. If it's a super, super light brown, you probably don't have carbon in that. Like if you pull out Pro Mix directly from the bag and you wet that down a little bit, it's not very dark, is it?
No.
That's because there is none.
Oh shit.
And the more and more carbon that breaks down into the soil, the darker that soil gets. The more humic acids that break down into that soil, the darker the soil gets.
Yeah, my worm bin, the soil in there is definitely a lot darker than the soil that's in my earth boxes.
Yo,
Not
baby
just
gorilla.
because it's always wet. Has Green Goblin been on Mr. Grow It? Gob, you were on there a long time ago, huh?
Yeah, I was on there quite a while ago. It's probably a year and a half ago at this point now, maybe 2.
Yeah, shit. I know. Chris is fucking busy as shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Hell
absolutely,
yeah.
D-Jolly. Like, you give the boxes a little time, they'll start getting darker as well. But as you know, you take some of them worm castings you made and you top dress with it. That would just help it along.
Yeah. And then I got the worms. I ended up putting some worms in there. But playing the worm game in those earth boxes is kind of like an unknown factor.
Well, you don't
Right?
really have to play any game. You just put them in there. You're
Well, yeah,
overthinking it, B.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, you ever seen them videos online? The people they put the worms in the thing and they're able to see like what the worms are doing. Like in those earth boxes, I'm never gonna see them.
Mhm.
Never gonna see them. I'm just gonna see the work, right? Eventually, I'm gonna end up having to dump that soil out and take the roots out
No,
and kind of like revitalize the bottom of the soil.
negative.
You
Don't
don't
ever
think
do
so?
that.
I was way off, y'all. I was way off. Don't do what I'm doing.
Yeah, you don't need to. Once you have that earth box in place, you're done. Top dress, top dress, top dress, top dress, top dress. The roots
Oh,
will
shit.
break down. You don't need to take them out. When a plant
So I
dies
was
out in nature, does a animal come over and take the roots out?
nah, nah. You're right. You're right. So yeah, so what I did with these was I just chopped the stalk at the like couple inches below the soil, and then buried it back up. But yeah, shit, I had this plan where I was gonna be fucking. Maybe this was before I added the worms in there, but I had this plan where I was gonna like every 3 runs or so, I was gonna end up fucking dumping the soil out and redoing the soil up. But now I got the fucking worms in there. I guess yeah, I don't have to. Now it's a whole ecosystem, huh?
Yeah, and you're not going to have. The only time that you might have to do that is if the soil compaction occurs because the worms are dead and you totally messed up your soil.
Yeah,
Then
it could happen.
then you might have to take it back out, revitalize it, add some worms back into it, and redo it. Like if you end up
Hell
fucking
yeah.
it up, you might have to. But if you keep it rolling, you shouldn't have to.
It happens. Not everybody's perfect. I'm sure
Oh,
you've had to
Missy,
rebuild your soil a couple times.
a couple times in the beginning.
Yeah, but once you get there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Like,
so you were in my stream earlier talking about how like you would buy or you've spent $400 on soil that would last in 48 gallon or 48 containers, right?
mhm.
And you never have to worry about soil again.
Yeah, I haven't had to. I spent $450 about 7, 8, 9 years ago building my soil, and I haven't had to buy soil since. And I spend about $70 to $120 a year buying amendments that I could make myself if I had additional time.
Hell yeah. So we got the homie Morbid Misfit out here. He's looking at going organic. He's starting on his organic journey, and so trying to drop him some tips this morning.
Oh, absolutely. It honestly, people starting out organically, there's a lot of information out there, and I do this sometimes, and I overcomplicate things when you don't need to. All right, it's simple: sphagnum peat moss, 1 bag of compost, 1 bag of worm castings. You mix that together, you have a base soil. You can put your seedlings, your clones, baby plants directly into that, and they'll be great. They'll thrive and they won't burn. There isn't too much nutrients, none of that. You take your base soil that you made and you add the dry amendments, whether that be from Down to Earth, Gaia Green, Dr. Earth, whoever you got. You follow the instructions on the box. I know it sounds weird, but you just follow the instructions on the box because they want you to have a great experience so that you continue buying the product.
Yeah.
This is
true. They don't want you to mess up.
completely different and foreign to salt nutrient peoples. They'll tell you to use everything on the label because they want you to buy more of it because they're trying to push you to use more and more of it. And on the organic side, we're telling you to the least amount you need to use to even get the benefit.
Hey, so God, let me ask you real quick. So there's packs out there that you could buy with 12 bottles, 20 bottles, all these different nutrients that you can add in at different times and spruce your shit up. Does that have any fucking validity or validation?
When you're growing in salts, it does. And here's why. You're playing God when you're growing with salts. Whatever you put in that medium is the only thing that is going to be in that medium. And that's not how nature works. Nature works with all building blocks, even the ones that make us sick, like arsenic and all the natural things that make us sick. Nature works with all of them. So if you're excluding any one thing to that plant, you're going to have a different result. So people on the salt side, they do have to really, really watch exactly what they put in, because there are over 497 different elements that are known to be in soil, and they're adding 12.
Yeah.
So now those 12 happen to be really important, 12 of them, and they grow great plants and everything. But there's more and more science that comes out that, hey, we need this tiny little bit of this trace mineral that these guys weren't ever adding. And if you just make an organic soil with parts from nature, with vermicastings, with compost, and some dry amendments, you have a little bit of everything. So the plant can go, oh yeah, I like a little bit of this, and grab it. Instead of you trying to figure out, oh, the plant needs this. Now I got to go try to find a solution that has this in it so that I can address this issue.
So, me, I grew up using Fox Farm Trio, right? And there's only 3 bottles that comes with that, it says, Trio, right? So I was missing out on. I know they have like the big old packs where you could buy the whole line of nutrients or whatnot, but even that, I think there's like 24, some shit like that, 24 different bottles. So if I were to have gotten off of that trio and got the whole collection, right?
Yeah,
Then I would have had a completely different result.
absolutely.
I always thought like all those extra bottles were like a marketing ploy.
Somewhat they are, and somewhat they aren't. And that's the downside to all products. The product wouldn't exist if it wouldn't be needed, because it wouldn't sell. End of story. But at the end of the day, they are marketing to you. And they might market harder on one element over another because they make more money on that element. And it's not because your plant needs more of it, it's because they want to sell more of it. So in a sense, yes, they are marketing to you. But if you do get the whole bottle lineup of any of these synthetic nutrients, you will have a better experience than just the 2-part. But the problem is now you're mixing 500,000 different things.
Yeah, and that shit gets confusing. I'm not gonna lie. I went with the trio because it was the simplest thing. I got the results I was looking for. But like when you start adding in, you got to break things down into different measurements, and the packaging is never straight up.
And
right?
don't
It
get me
never
wrong,
tells
this
you.
science is very, very, very interesting. To know exactly what the plant is eating, that's how you can tell, because you're only giving it these things, and it took up this amount of nitrogen and left this amount of nitrogen behind, and go, oh, this is a high nitrogen plant. This is very valuable information. But this isn't the way. This is for the lab. This is for growing on the International Space Station. This is for growing on a vessel that we're trying to take to Mars or whatever. This isn't for growing production plants here on Earth. That's my opinion. Like,
no, dead ass. I have a strong feeling that not only in in cannabis, but also in other plants and other types of agriculture is they're really moving towards that whole synthetic growing because, well, it fucking obviously if you pump enough into it, you could get a big ass fruit, right? Or whatever the fuck you're growing, you could beef that shit up. And if it's bigger, guess what? It's making more money, right?
But
And
this is true, but that's only because people think that there's more in there. And my whole goal with teaching anybody any of this stuff is to tell people it's not about biomass, whether that's food or cannabis. It has nothing to do with how much it weighs or how big it is. It is all about nutrient density. We used to be able to eat 3 carrots 50 years ago and get all our vitamin A. You know how many carrots you got to eat now for that?
300.
40.
Oh shit.
So instead of 3 carrots, we have to eat 40 now. And this is why juicing became such a big thing, because you're like, how the fuck am I going to eat 40 carrots?
Yeah.
Well, if
And
you
you're talking like
juice,
full size carrots.
yeah, if you juice 40 carrots and a pound of kale and this, that, the other thing, you will eventually get the nutrients we got 40 years ago. And it's just much easier in a more condensed way to get those nutrients. Or you could start your own garden, grow organically, build your own soil up, and have that nutrient density with a lower amount of food and be healthier. It is not
Yeah.
about biomass. You can buy a 10-pound tomato. I can sell you a 10-pound tomato right now, but that's going to have 0 calories and taste like shit.
It tastes like shit. Yep. But you tell the general public that, and they're like, "Yeah, but it's bigger. You're getting more for the dollar." Like, I don't know. What are you trading for? Like, you're trading size for taste. Like, come on now. I don't know. But yeah, like that's the way the whole. Even like we were talking about this on the stream, like not even like food wise. You go to buy a bag of chips and you open up the bag and what? It's only half full. What happened to the other half? I thought this bag was shareable. Like, but yeah, like organics. I've gotten such good results off of this one organic run that it's like, my pockets are fucking, I got more money in my pockets because I'm not dishing out, hundreds of dollars for these nutrients anymore. It's a self-sustaining garden, so I'm watering once a week, right? And it's just feeding off of that and keeping the soil moist, right? Meanwhile, with synthetic nutrients, you're feeding the plants, 1 to 2 times a week, and you got to make sure pH in the water, and make sure this is right, make sure that's right. Don't overfeed it. No, then you'll start getting miscoloring, and it's a whole bunch of shit to it. Whereas organic, bro, it's so simple, and the results, the dense buds that I got off of this fucking plant, haven't gotten off of growing with synthetic indoor. Right, synthetic outdoor, that's a whole nother story. You got the sun working with the whole, the whole thing. But growing indoor, I've never gotten dense buds like this.
And One
And
Love
everybody's
brings
like,
up a good point here. So it's because the mass productions or carrots or food that we're not having an amount of nutrients. It's not because of the mass production. It's because of the way that we're mass producing them. You can do mass production with organic growing practices or natural growing practices. And you can still have hundreds of thousands of carrots that are being produced. And all of those carrots are nutriently dense. It's the way that we're growing them is the problem.
all the hormones and shit. They I heard a while back. I don't tell me if this is true or not, but I heard a while back. If you were to take food from the grocery store, like you go to the produce section and you take their food and you go to like try to regrow it, it won't grow. Or you try to get seeds from certain things,
Yeah,
they just legit grow them without the seeds so that you can't reproduce that fruit on your own.
100%. That's not a conspiracy at all.
Damn. Well, Craze, if you're watching this, we can't dive into that one.
Well, you can talk about it. It's not really a conspiracy. It's just fact.
That's so fucking nuts.
That's why they make seedless grapes. That's why they make seedless things. Like, that's why Sensimilia weed's so important back in the day, so that if I sold you weed, you couldn't grow my weed. And you would always have to come to me for that weed.
I mean, in a business tactic, that's a smart idea. But at the same time, like, you end up losing out on years and years and years worth of genetics and possibilities.
100%. Like, it's not the great way to do it, but that's the business way.
Yeah. I'm always preaching, don't stay stagnant. And here it is, business is keeping us down by not, by growing their plants without seeds or growing these hormone plants that you can't replicate.
And here's the thing, this is not even a joke. This is 100% real fact. You can look it up. You can grow corn in your field that's 100% organic, non-GMO, not owned by Monsanto, right? And it's growing perfect. You're about to harvest this shit in like 3-4 weeks and cash in, right? And a field next to you can be growing Monsanto corn. And if that corn pollinates your corn, you're out of the entire harvest, and you get sued from Monsanto for $250,000 because now you're growing their plants.
What?
And now the same thing is happening to cannabis in large cannabis fields and shit. People are suing each other because, oh, you pollinated my plants and now you're growing my plants and this, that. It's all kinds of horror shit and bullshit.
Yo, can you imagine? I can imagine, like, how there's crop dusters, right? You get your fields dusted, and I can see like somebody having a grudge against another grower, right? Take this plane and go crop dust that whole field, fucking seed the whole thing out, dropping pollen from it, shit. Oh, bro, seed warfare is gonna be a thing. Watch. Damn. That's crazy though. Like,
yeah, because and here's the thing, D-Jolly. The reason that Monsanto gets away with it is because they genetically engineered that corn. It is a GMO. So therefore, you can't copyright or patent anything that nature does. That's in the law. But if you take nature and you alter it a little bit and then genetically, now technically it's yours. So you can copyright it, you can patent it, you can protect it.
Oh, shit.
And that's why I have a hard time with pharmaceutical companies. They do really great things and they save tons of people. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is holding information behind a wall because they got these compounds from a plant, animal, or fungi. End of story.
Dead ass. Yeah.
So they are copywriting nature in a sense, and I don't like that.
Yeah, they're not just coming up with these, genetically made materials in a lab and then calling it Advil, right? It came from a plant at some point. They harvested that piece of a plant and then bam, started fucking mass producing it.
And like I said, this is not me totally putting them down. They save a lot of lives because some of these things, like, we need the purified version for during surgeries, and like some of these things we absolutely need. Like, so still, I'm still gonna give them props for that. But the massive greed of copywriting pretty much anything that can help a human being, and misguiding them and saying that you should take this medicine other than trying to live a healthy, happy life with good nutrition and
maybe
a bit of exercise. A lot of that can do.
I think you said bar wrong, bro. What is this?
Exercise. Yeah. And I'm not even saying like go to the gym or this, that, but like if you're a semi-active person, like you're in the garden a lot and moving shit around, like don't be so sedentary like most people are in America, where you're just sitting in front of the couch and shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
just sitting there
if
fucking
you can
watching
get
Jerry Springer
the
and shit.
gump and go out there and go to the gym, definitely do it. But shit, if you can't, just get up and move around, baby. Like,
A little circulation goes a long way. Hell yeah. Yeah, I got I'm gonna be putting the main garden on hold for a little bit. I'm gonna be while I do flower. I got about fucking 2 pounds worth of fucking weed. A little bit less than 2 pounds of weed just sitting around here. Right. So I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to grow like
no, no,
on
no,
a
no, no,
mass scale
no, no,
like
no, no,
that.
no. Get going right away.
Yes.
I've made that
You
mistake
got
before,
more?
B. I made that
Yeah.
mistake before, B. Get going right away.
Yeah.
Because
All right, pal.
by the time you're done halfway through that couple of pounds, you'd be like, I want a different flavor, this, that, the other thing. No,
Yes.
get going right away. Because
I'm already
even
plotting
if you
on.
have the whole goal is to have weed left over when you harvest again. That is
Yeah.
the whole goal.
Yeah. I don't think I'd. It's not that I would stop growing, but I got so much in. I got fucking 12 plants in flower right now, or 8 plants in flower right now. I got another 4 that are getting ready to move into flower, and I'm sitting on like around 2 pounds, give or take. But yeah, you're right. Like I'm gonna hold off about a month before I plant some new beans.
Well, that's
Not
fine.
like putting them,
As long as
not like putting the
as
grow on
long as
hold.
you got stuff still going, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like don't
No,
take a 2-week pause, especially if you're in a small like home grow type situation and you just harvested and you feel like on top of the world because you got all this weed. I understand that, but don't take a break. Don't take too long of a break because you will run out
oh yeah,
before you harvest again.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna be letting a month go by between veg because I realized planting these plants when I did. So when I took the frosted cobbler and I dropped them in the earth boxes, the very next day I planted these seeds, right? And they've been in veg for about 3 months now, and that's way too long. And I couldn't move them because I just didn't have the room. So I figure if I hold off about a month before, after harvest, then they'll they'll be in veg for the right amount of time. Then they'll be able to flip into these earth boxes and continue their life growing.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, 3 months seems like a time period, right? But you can do exactly what I just did with a few of my plants. They were entirely too big. They've been a different time period than my other plants that I just put in the larger room. I went in there. You hedge them.
Just top them off.
Hedge it.
Yeah,
The
that's
entire
what I
thing.
did. Oh, you just came in there and gave them like a whole flat top kind of thing.
The plant was 4.5 foot tall. It's 2 foot tall now. Hedge it. Hedge it.
Damn. Damn.
It'll grow all new branches. And it'll catch
Oh,
up
hell
to
yeah.
the other plants.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah, shit, I might have to do that. Yeah, I don't have a lot of room growing in that little 2 foot box.
That's what I
But
mean. If you got to take massive parts of your plant off, don't feel bad about that.
I always do. I always do. Yeah, Goblin don't fuck around. Hey, so I had remember I had told you about my little spider mite problem that I had, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little bastards came and invaded late in flower. To this day, I'm still battling them. I got them out of the veg box. They're gone. The only place I have them now is in the plants that are in flower, right? And I got plants that are in early flower, and I got plants that are in late flower. My purple, they're not fucking with the purple, but they're going after another plant, and they're starting to get to, the lower ones. I've been spraying the shit out of them with water. Every time the light goes off, I'm spraying the shit out of them. I'll turn the light off halfway through the day and I'll spray them. The fucking AC Infinity alarm's going off.
Well, first thing you need to do is, one, I can't send you it quick enough. So you're going to go down Walmart and get Dr. Bronner's Castle soap. No scent, no anything. and you're gonna put 1 ounce, maybe 2 ounces per gallon of water in the water that you're spraying, and that's gonna help a ton because
Okay.
spider mites are soft-bodied insects, and if you clog up their pores with soap, they die. They straight up die.
Okay. Yeah, I had
And
some
what you'll have, and this sounds bad, but you're gonna have to do this every single night for 3 weeks. You have to spray them completely, top, bottom, soaked, wet spray. They will dry out, but you do it once per day, every day, for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, JWA will help with spider mites. Jadam wedding agent.
I took the veg plants and sprayed them down with neem oil.
That
But I
will
can't do that with
do that too.
fucking. I can't do that with the plants of flower.
And the plants that are just starting to flower, you can hit them with neem. Obviously, not
Okay.
too strong. You've had that experience before, but
Oh my god.
you can hit those with neem. But any of the plants that like got full on buds on them, don't hit.
Bro, I sprayed my plants. So I made the super concentrated neem oil, right? This neem oil spray, and I had spider mites in my greenhouse. And I wasn't thinking nothing. The sun was going down, and I was like, you never spray with the sun up because I'm gonna end up burning the plants. You know, I've had that experience before. So I waited till the sun went down and I sprayed the shit out of the plants. A couple days go by and I fucking go back in there and take a look at them. My boy was over and he was taking a look with me and he goes, "Damn, bro, what the fuck happened?" And I look at the plants and bro, one side was burnt and I was like, I don't know what happened. Like the sun must have I don't know. Like, come to find out, I didn't follow the instructions on the bottle like I usually don't do. And I made it super concentrated, and neem oil, super concentrated, will burn your plants.
Mm-hmm.
It will. And I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, fucking warfare on these spider mites. Like, and yeah, I ended up fucking up my plants.
Oh, that was Dr. Bronner's soap, Red Pill.
Yeah, Dr. Bronner's. I gotta grab some of that. But I had some spinosaddle soup, spinosaddle. How do you say it?
Those work.
And that worked for a while. I ran out, but I sprayed the plants and veg. They got a whole spinosaddle soap spray down, and I haven't had any issues with mites since. So I might go down and grab some of that too, and just in case. But yeah, that's the last place I'm fighting them off. Is that I got them cornered in the fucking flower box.
Yep, and like I said, you do that, it'll kill them off. And the problem is the life cycle of the spider mite. Like the ones that you see are obviously adults. The ones you can't see are babies that are on the leaf.
Yeah.
And the eggs.
Tiny white specks.
Yeah. Some people can see them, like if you got really good eyes, or like I'm nearsighted, so I can see stuff like that without a microscope and shit. And that's why I got glasses. But
yeah, I got this. I'll be using the pocket scope, fucking looking down at the leaf and shit, like, oh, you little bastards.
Absolutely, Kid Crow, and I was kind of going to bring that up. Spinosad is really great at a lot of pest issues, but if you're using it at like an open field situation, that's not a great idea because it's not great for bees and beneficial bugs. It does not discriminate. It will kill everything.
Yeah, so what I do when I spray my plants, I don't take them outside. I never take my plants outside. So I got a tarp that I have, and I'll lay the tarp out, and it goes up on the walls to cover the overspray and whatnot. But I'll always spray them in here because I don't want to fuck up what's going on outside. The people who lived here before, they had paint and oil and shit just scattered all over the place.
Didn't take care of it.
And yeah, so I don't, I want the ecosystem to build back up. I know they fucking harmed the shit out of it. So I don't want to spray out there and scare some bugs off or kill some bugs that are beneficial to the yard and whatnot. So I always do all my spraying inside.
Yeah, and if you're able to, it just seems like a, you know, little extra work and a little overdone. But if you have a 2x2 tent or a 3x3 tent that you're not using, use that as a spray area. You put
Yeah.
your plant in there and you spray the fuck out of that plant. And all the water just stays in that tent. You can wipe it up, vacuum it out after the fact. But it contains the spray. And that way you can ensure that you get full coverage of the plant. And that you're not, getting sprays where you don't need them.
Oh yeah, I'm new to this whole tent game, and now I got this tent over here, and I've been putting that thing to use. I did that. That was the last one that we harvested. That frosty cobbler came out of the tent. Yo, I didn't even tell you. I had tried this. I had broke off a little tester piece.
Mm-hmm.
The smoke is so smooth.
Let's go.
You can taste the bud. Like it's got its own distinct taste. I don't know. I've tasted it doesn't taste like my synthetic bud did.
No.
It doesn't. Like people say that, oh no, it doesn't fucking enhance the taste. Bullshit. Bullshit. My organic bud tastes a hell of a lot better than my synthetic bud.
Let's go, one love. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of times the synthetic bud is not going to have as much taste. And here's why. The synthetic people aren't using all of the minerals and elements that organic peoples are. Now, there's also the exception to the rule. There are some really, 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 really great synthetic growers out there that knock it out the park. It tastes great every time, and they do it correctly. But here's the thing. They've been trying to do that for the past 20 years. They've been working on that hard, very hard. When I'm trying to home grow, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm trying to have as much medicine as I can possibly have for the least amount of effort, because I also have a life.
Yeah.
So it really all depends. Do you want to put in that hard work and effort of perfecting a synthetic grow to that extent and spending a decent amount of money to be able to do that? Because these equipments and doshatrons and all the hydroponic setups, very expensive.
Very expensive. Even if you were like Goblin, you're a DIYer just like I am. And I've looked at, I don't know much about feeding plants. Nobody ever taught me. I did the research on it, but most of the time I just kind of like eyeballed it and followed the bottle kind of thing. But there's DIY setups where you can make dosage, things that'll dose your dosatrons and what and all that. But at the same time, they're fucking expensive. Even to make one, DIY is fucking expensive. Yeah, I don't. Synthetic. Look, if you got the money and the time to put forth to learn the synthetics and learn the different things to add in and all that, fucking by all means go for it. But synthetic, unless you figure out that secret key, that recipe, organic is fucking blowing it out the water. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. If you grow synthetically, by all means.
Oh yeah, go for it. Do you? Like I said, if you want to do that, that's 100% your choice. But this is the reasoning that I chose behind why I like to grow the way I like to grow.
Yeah, and this is what worked for me. Look, I wasn't the most awesome synthetic grower. All right, I'll admit it. I wasn't. And growing organic, I feel like shit. Just this one organic grow is pretty much shitting on all my other indoor synthetic grows.
And a lot of people think that there's more work to organic than there is synthetic. And that's just because they aren't viewing the work as it's being done. They're just not. Each time a synthetic grower grows, they have to transplant up pot several times, usually. And then they're in their final pot, they're growing. They have to cut down, harvest, take all their medium out of their pots, clean all their pots really well to make sure there's no fucking cross contamination of bad bacterias and shit because they're not using good bacterias most of the time. So there is no
Fucking
protection.
salt buildup.
So they got to wash all their pots very cleanly or buy new ones. Or there's just a lot to
Yeah,
growing
there's so much.
with synthetic, that a lot of work that you don't see that I don't have to do. I don't have to clean my pots. I don't have to take my pots out. I put my plants directly in their final home. I don't ever really up pot. I got a solo cup and then final home. Clone, final home. Seedling, final home.
Yeah, and I've always been a big component of not transplanting.
Like
there's always that
once you've
downtime.
built the soil, like yes, you're gonna take a few $100 to $1,000, depending on how big your grow setup is, to build a soil. It's gonna take a couple of weeks to get that soil going, but then you're done. And you can make some of these JWA, like some of these solutions from KNF and Jadam, and you can have instant fixes. These aren't slow fixes. A Jadam liquid fertilizer is instantly taken up by the plant, just like a synthetic nutrient would be.
Readily available.
But it takes a couple of 2, 3, 4 weeks, a couple of months to make a decent JLF. But if you make 100 gallons of JLF, that's going to last you to make a whole big another batch. And guess what work it entails to make a JLF? Putting shit in a bin and waiting. How much work is that?
I don't know, man. You know, seems like it's a lot of backbreaking work right there.
So there's two sides to each coin, and some people like the cleanliness and sterileness of a lab. And I want to control everything. And if anything goes wrong, it 100% is your fault if you're doing it like that, because you're controlling everything.
Yeah.
Or you can do it the more nature way, with an organic soil, with beneficial insects, with bait plants, and have a much less work, in my opinion. It takes a little bit to set up, I won't deny. But here's the thing. I look at it like this. I'm employing hundreds of trillions of microorganisms and beneficial insects that are doing all my work for free. I don't gotta pay them shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that takes away a ton of work for me.
Yep. Give and take.
If you take care of nature, that nature will take care of you.
Yep. Whether you're growing indoor or outdoor. But man, those fucking springtails when they're jumping around, bro, that's just what the fuck is that?
Well, you can grow microbes. You can't really make them. They're living all around us at all times. At any given point in time, they're living on your skin right now. So you can cultivate microbes and you can grow them, but you can't really make them.
That's crazy. And then they'll just multiply from there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like one lab, you can grow organic in a clean, spotless lab. A lot of people say that my grow area is very clean and spotless and all this kind of stuff. And I grow organically. It just,
Yeah, there's ways you can do it.
like, I don't clean with harsh products unless I have to. I don't clean with bleach unless I have to. I clean everything with JWA. It's just soap. And a lot of the things I use, like the beneficial bacteria, EM1, labs, worm castings, composting, all of these things have untold billions of really great microbes that fight off the bad microbes. I don't need bleach or something super strong to kill these microbes. I don't. I don't have like strep living in my soil because I have really great organisms that are, living in that soil and keeping everything in check.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let Mother Nature do the work for you. And now look, in synthetic, you got to pH your water, right? In organic, You just let the microbes do the work for you. The microbes will pH it.
And microbes will
Hey,
do
me.
most of the work. And here's the thing. If you mix your soil not correctly, you can get a soil that's pH is off, because the pH of the soil is directly dependent on what the microbes have to eat. And there's some more acidic foods and there's more alkaline foods. Just like for humans, there's more acidic foods and there's more alkaline foods. Sauerkraut's a little more acidic. Non-cooked green vegetables, a little more alkaline. Like orange juice is more citric. Water, more citric acid, acid. Water's just water. It's pretty alkaline.
Yeah.
So,
and there's certain things that you can add that'll like completely screw your whole soil up. So like I didn't add any kind of like biochar or anything like that into my soil. Now, if I did, I would have messed with the pH, because
if it wasn't charged.
If it wasn't charged. So yeah, like if I were to take like, I collect my roaches and shit, and sometimes the ash from the ashtray gets in there. But if you were to take your ash from the ashtray, right, and you were to dump that inside your soil, that would fuck your pH up.
Especially
right?
if you
Correct
use
me
too
if I'm
much.
wrong. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wouldn't make it more acidic. It would make it more alkaline.
It'd make it more acidic.
Oh, it would? Okay.
Because what you got there is pretty much potash, which is pretty much potassium, and there's also a little bit of lye in there, potassium lye, and that's really great for the plant because plants love potassium. But you put too much, it will acidify the soil, and it will turn things not great. And that's the whole thing about living natural or organics or whatever you want to call it, natural farming. There's so many different names for it now. But the entire idea of it is we're using nature and nature's processes. And there's wildfires. And after wildfires, what happens, B? There's a huge bloom of plants, right?
Huge boom of plants.
But that's because every once in a while it's good to have a fire. But it's not good to have a fire every day.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah. Because my homie, he, a couple years back, the really bad California fires. So he grows outside on top of a hill, and it gets really dry up there in the summertime, right? Well, this fire was eating its way through the area, and you can see on his property line where the fire stopped at. Like that's how close he was to losing fucking everything. And now that I look at it, it's been a couple years past, but now that I look at it and I go out there and whatnot, there's so many new plants and new life that's growing out there.
It's insane, right?
It's all just coming up.
So a little bit's good, a lot's bad for everything.
Oh yeah.
Same with like the story of the Nile flooding every year. The Egyptians wanted it to flood once a year, every year, because they would give their growing land a bunch of natural minerals from the sea.
Yep.
They don't want that every day because then it would solidify or salt the land. That's bad. And like the whole organic against salts thing is a misnomer. We're against synthetic salts. Salt is a needed thing in the correct doses, just like in your body.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a heart patient, the doctor's going to tell you you shouldn't consume more than 2,000 milligrams of salt per day. But what that also tells somebody that's not a heart patient is that you really shouldn't be consuming less than 2,000. Because we need 2,000 milligrams of salt a day to function. Those are electrolytes. So you can't go, oh, I'm going no salt diet. Same with sugar. Sugar's bad, especially in excess. But we need glucose. You can't go, I'm not eating anything with added sugar and I'm not going to eat any fruits that have sugar in it. You can't do that. You will die. So a little bit of
Uh-huh.
everything is how you remain healthy, both as a human and as a plant. So like the whole natural farming move is more of let's take care of everything holistically instead of this plant is missing potassium. Imagine if you went to your doctor and you're like, oh, I'm having this issue. And he's like, well, here, take this potassium pill.
Yeah.
And instead, the doctor could go, hey, we're going to do a test. And we notice that you're kind of low on potassium. Maybe you should up some of the foods that you eat with, make sure they have potassium in them and see how you feel.
Yeah. Eat some bananas.
Yeah, eat a banana every week or something to see if we can up that potassium a little.
Yeah.
And that's how, natural farming goes. We're always about the more holistic picture, taking care of the land, the plant, and the human. If it doesn't align with any of those, we are not about it.
Yeah, it's got to go. Hell yeah. So look, is there such thing as having too many microbes in the soil?
Not really. The only thing that'll happen, like if you can brew up the most potent compost tea and put EM1 in there and labs in there and have it be quadrillion amounts of fucking microbes in there, and you put it in the soil, and they'll live for a couple of days and they'll die back to the population that can actually be withheld in that soil.
Self-regulate.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you just had a harvest, right? You're getting ready to plant some more beans, or you already did?
I'm getting ready to plant some more beans. I already got some plants in the big room. I got Twisted Sister, breast mints, junior mints, stank fruit.
Ballin'.
Yeah, so we be having a nice harvest after that. But then I got some of these dead ops in Colorado I need to put in the ground. I was recently sponsored by Homegrown Cannabis Co. Shout out Homegrown Cannabis Co. If you want to use code GG510 and get some beans. I got some beans from them recently. Some Chem Dogs, I got like 5 different strains from them. We're going to be going through those.
Oh, shit.
I got a couple more from Trey that I need to go through. I got some Purple Kush and a couple more from him. So we definitely got a ton of different strains coming up.
Almost got flavors, yeah. So what do you do to pre-game your soil? So I know you said you don't. Do you just chop them and then let decomposition start on the roots and all that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just plant the seed next to that?
Yeah.
Or, well, you said you start in solo cups, right? And then you'll drop them in there?
Yeah, it really kind of depends on my room at the moment, like how much room I have at the moment.
Oh, okay. Makes sense, yeah. Space is always a factor, y'all.
Yeah.
But, so you'll leave that whole thing in there until it composts into the soil?
Absolutely.
Oh, shit. And you got worms inside those, inside those buckets? Or
I don't actually.
No shit.
The roots will break down all on their own. You don't even need worms. The worms are great. It was accelerated and it'll create air channels in your soil and make sure that it's not compacted. That's what worms are great for.
So you don't use worms inside your bins or your pots that you grow in?
I normally do, but right now they're not in there.
No shit.
A lot of them died out and whatnot. When you go through surgery, you can let some shit slide.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But on the norm, you usually have worms in there that you grow with, though.
Yeah, but you don't need to.
Yeah,
Literally, like I described earlier, if you make that base soil and you add some amendments, that's all you need to grow a weed plant. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to make your work less and less over time, add worms and continue to build the soil and continue to. But if you're just trying to grow a cycle, that's all you need.
Okay. But yeah, if you're not like, but if you are trying to keep that active, that soil active, keep those worms in there and keep that whole thing going. So you can, would you, at the end of your grows, when you do keep worms in there, would most of them die off and you would have to replenish those worms?
Negative.
Or would they just straight up thrive in there?
They'll still thrive. What happened to mine is that I let my shit dry out.
It happens.
So they're gonna die off.
Yeah.
But if you keep your soil moist, even whether there's a plant or not a plant in it, the worms will be just fine.
Okay, cool. Because yeah, I got these, these earth boxes. I got the worms going in there. I'm keeping the reservoir full, just so that, just like on a normal day, I haven't changed anything up other than cutting the plant down. But eventually I'm gonna add in some more worms and help their population out. But I always wondered, like, in that off season, do they get pissed off? Like, especially in like smaller bins and whatnot.
Not as long as every once in a while you give them a little feeding. Like whether or not there's a plant in your soil, if you have worms in an active soil that you're trying to keep an ecosystem going, you have to top dress at least once a month. Hey, shout out D Squad for the sub. 12 months in a row.
Green
Let's
59
go.
squad wooden screen,
Boy.
59 squad wooden screen, 59 squad wooden.
And yeah, if you, as Red Pill was asking the question, if you do keep your soil moist the whole time, that the roots will just break down. Literally, you can cut a 4 or 5 foot plant out of a 30-gallon container. Leave the stem this big out of it, right? You cut it. You got a couple inches there yet. And just keep that pot moist. 2 weeks later, you can just pull that stem right out. And there'll be like two roots still on it, and that's about it.
Oh shit! Oh damn! Yeah, I'm curious to see when I plant these next plants in there.
So literally, like if you're rocking and rolling with a living soil, you can cut that plant, put a plant right next to it, keep rocking, and that stem there, all the roots inside will rot out. And when that stem falls over, you just take that stem, push it in the soil.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm trying not to take anything outside. Any part of the plant matter, anything that gets cutting off, I'm trying to, keep it going, keep it in the cycle.
That's the whole point.
Somebody going through my trash, like, oh, I get people that walk down the street all the time, like going through people's trash, getting cans out. Magically find some fucking weed pieces in there. Hey, this motherfucker grows. Like,
let's go, one love. And that's the thing. If people are in not great states for what we're talking about, the most stealthy grow you could possibly have is an organic grow. If you're buying Fox Farm Trio online and having it sent to your house, there's only 2 things you're growing with that.
Yeah, it's not tomatoes.
So if you're trying to be very stealthy, pick up a couple of books, learn a lot about organic growing, because as much as I love these talks and I love online content creators, you can learn so much more from picking up a couple of books. I know a lot of people don't like to read, but here's the thing. In a lot of these organic books, there's lots of pictures and diagrams and things to where there's words and it tries to help you understand it with diagrams. It's not like reading a story that is boring as fuck. It is literally like looking something up on the internet, but it just happens to be in a book.
Yep. And it's got pictures. You guys hear that? It's got pictures, y'all. Not like a picture book, but it's got pictures in it. And it explains the picture. Now, remember in high school, those textbooks that you used to have? Sometimes it would explain what was going on. Other times it was like, oh, this is a picture of a red dot. Like,
Now, unless there's a lot of books out there that I recommend, but this is the main book that I recommend.
Ooh.
Regenerative Soil, The Science and Solutions by Matt Powers. Now, this will cost you an all right penny. I'm not going to lie. But this is a hardcover book. And it talks about all different methods of natural growing.
Hell yeah.
Permacomposting. Simple pallet composting prep. Terracotta composting. And not only does it go into all different methods of natural growing, it talks to you about the classic soil chemistry and how that interacts with the microbes. It also tells you all the different nutrient cycles with detailed pictures.
You see, those are like magic school bus pictures, right? Where it shows you the diagram and it tells you what's going on in the picture. I fuck with those kind of books.
So if you want to learn nearly all you can learn about growing naturally in a single book, this is the one I recommend.
Hey, he could be. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, you know? Yeah, see, and like, so me, I know if I pull something up, like by the end of my stream, by the time I'm done streaming, everybody's been telling me to like look at shit, and I got a whole bunch of windows pulled up at the top of my bar. Well, a lot of those, I'm just like, well, click, 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 like.
Matt Powers, shout out Matt Powers. He also has a really great YouTube channel. If you really want to get down in the dirty, he'll go like 3-4 hour streams talking about microbes with a microscope and showing all kinds of shit. If you want to get really, really, really in depth, check out Matt Powers, his book, and his YouTube channel. Now, he's a little eccentric. He laughs a lot. He sometimes a little weird, but I like him for it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that and like a lot of people, like websites, I'll put to the back. I'll forget about them, right? YouTube, it's like I get the information right then. But like a book, I could take my time. I could study the material. I could, go through it at my own pace, kind of thing. Whereas like in YouTube videos, sometimes you got to watch that shit like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different times just to like understand the fucking, the logic behind it and the terms and all that. But yeah,
And
like
then
the book, if y'all can afford it, man.
Get that book, and then 2 other books I highly recommend: the Jadam Organic Farming book, which is the orange book, excuse me, and then the Jadam Organic Pesticides book, which is green. If you get those 3 books, like that's like 50, 60, 70 years worth of knowledge, all tied up into a very small amount of space.
Hell yeah. Hey, let me ask you, bro. Like my biggest thing, my hardest thing when it comes to growing is troubleshooting. Right? There's some people who are like really fucking good at it. And like, they look at a plant and they're like, ha, yep, that one's, got this, or bam, that one's got that. Hey, you're running low on this. I've been studying deficiencies for a cool minute, deficiencies and, different problems that the plants have. And I get really into mutations. I fuck with mutations, but deficiencies, that's something that, you think it's this, but really, another plant or another symptom happens with this problem kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I fucking, it's hard for me to like discern like what the fuck is going on with a plant. I'm like, I've had people like send me, oh yeah, check this website out, check this out, check this picture out, check this, but it doesn't compare to like, I don't know.
It doesn't compare to the person with the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Then that's the issue. Is like, as much as you can study a book and study how these nutrients interact with each other and what the plant likes to uptake, you have that nothing is a supplement for field experience.
Yeah.
So the more you grow, the more plants you grow, the more you fail, the more you learn.
Yep. Oh man, have I failed?
And how much have you learned?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. You
Exactly.
can't really even call it a failure.
So at the end of the day, yeah, it sucks that you fail. You didn't get the crop you wanted. You didn't get the harvest you wanted, but you learned something.
Yeah.
And as you learn, you get better and better. And if you want to try to hone your skills on like nutrient deficiencies, expand what you're looking at. Don't just look at your plants. Go outside. Look at those plants. Question yourself, like, is this plant healthy? Could it be doing better? You don't need to know every single plant species and this, that, the other thing to notice if a plant's doing well.
Yeah.
So just go around, look around, be like, oh, this plant seems to be doing really well. And look at the soil. Is it super dark? Is there a lot of life? Does the soil smell good? The most important tool that a natural farmer has is their smell. It can tell you more than any mass spectrometer can tell you. So get used to smelling things. Some of them aren't going to smell good, but
Yeah.
if it smells like natural forest soil, you know you're on the right track.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
if you're trying to hone that skill, just like I said, go around, look at the trees in your area, look at the weeds in your area, look at the flowers in your area. Are they doing well? Why do they seem to be doing well? Are they getting the right amount of water? Does it seem like the soil's really great? And just kind of hone your skills that way. And even if you got some random plants in your backyard, you don't really know what they are, and they kind of look like they're not doing well, experiment on that. Be like, oh, I'm going to give it a little bit of nitrogen, see if that helps. I'm going to give it a little bit of this, see if that, I'm going to top dress with some compost, see if this plant takes off.
Yeah. It's a good idea, bro. I didn't even think about that. I'm always so focused on, the weed, or, the cannabis and what the plant's telling me. And, I don't know, me, I grow other plants and shit, but like, I never like paid attention like that.
And that's the thing, like cannabis, and we love cannabis and we hold it on a pedestal, and we're just like the kid in high school that's holding, some girl on a pedestal
Yeah.
with cannabis. But the fact of the matter is, cannabis is just another plant. And it lives on this planet just like every other thousands and thousands of other plants.
Yeah.
So we should grow it exactly the way all these other plants are being grown. Over 90% of the plants on the earth grow in the same type of soil. Yes, there are outliers. We got cactuses that grow in sand, and we got, shit that grows only in water. And yes, there are outliers. But over 90% of it, especially the plants that we use for production, those plants all grow in the same kind of soil.
Shit.
And like blueberry farmers are kind of under a thing because the whole time they're told blueberries like acidic soil. This is true. But you don't need to make the soil acidic. The blueberry itself will make the soil acidic by calling for microbes in the soil that produce more acidic byproducts. The plant will always ask for what it wants. And it will help adapt the soil to itself. We just need to know how to get out of the way of nature for the most part. And if we fully understand what nature's trying to do, we can help it.
Shit.
Shout out to Leo for the raid. Let's go.
Hey, hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't even, I've never tried to grow blueberries. My dad had accidentally, I say accidentally, but maybe he had purposely grown one of those thorny berry bushes. I think it was a raspberry bush or some shit. But that thing thrived, and there was no way to kill it. But I remember the soil was always like shit soil out in the backyard. It was always dry, and
Mm-hmm.
when it got wet,
Yo,
it was like
Misa.
really light brown. There was nothing really active going on in there. Hey, what's going on, Misa?
Right, D Jolly? Like, once you learn about these systems, it makes you start thinking a little bit differently about a lot of things, not just
Yeah,
growing.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been looking at plants a whole different way. Like my aloe. Remember my aloe, bro? I had I thought I was doing okay with that, but my aloe's starting to turn like colors. It flowered. It flowered out the last 2 weeks. Shot its big ass stem up. It's like a 7 foot stem and all these
Mhm.
flowers coming off of it. Um, but it's got all these other pups that are growing all around it, and I'm waiting to drop it into the ground. I gotta flip my soil and kind of add some amendments into it. But after
You
I
just
do that, I'm gonna.
take those pups out, put them in their own containers, and they'll be
Yep,
fine.
yep, yeah. Because I still got, bro. After the first time I did these pups, I gave them. I've given so many pups away. It's not even funny. My boy was like, "Oh, you got aloe, huh?" I'm all, "Yeah, you want some?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll take 3 of them." Fucking take them, bro. Take them. That shit doesn't die. And now
Mm.
I put 2 of them in the ground. The soil out in my backyard is not the best fucking soil, but it's soil. And my dog was, she had knocked them over a few times. So they had gone through some damage, and I was like, well, fuck it. What more harm could come to them? But these things are fucking thriving out there. I haven't watered them but like one time, and they're like, B, I'm here to stay, yo.
Mm. Well, that's the thing. Aloe is meant to be out in the desert. That's where it
Yeah,
grows. Succulents grow in the desert.
yeah.
Cacti, aloe, like DJ said, don't put it in the ground. It'll take over. It will take over. And I would rather
Oh,
it take over because that's where aloe's supposed to grow.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
whole
keep them in the
idea
spot.
of people having 3-4 acres of just green grass, the fuck are you doing? You're not producing anything on that land. Not a single fucking thing, and you're just wasting it because you're rich?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
Fucking
rich to
farm
me.
that shit.
That's not rich to me.
Hell yeah. Fucking farm that shit. Yeah, fucking places out here are expensive as shit, but you don't get much land. You get this big ass fancy house on this little itty bitty plot of land. Right? So there's not much farming you could do on that. But you
It's
could
kind of
definitely
true,
still
DJ.
farm shit.
It's kind of true.
Are the lawns are racist?
They are. Do you know why lawns started?
Nuh-uh.
It was all the rich white man showing off that they could waste their land by not growing a single goddamn thing. That was literally how it
What?
started. And then everybody liked the way it looked, so we just adopted it.
Well, now that I think about it, I've never even thought about it like that. Like back in the day, where back when this was like the Mexicans' land. Well, I live in Cali, right? So Cali was part of Mexico back then. But as I think about it, like nobody had grass in their yard. Like everybody had dirt yards. The whole Dust Bowl and all that. Like
Now, there
nobody
are,
had grass.
Misa brings up a natural point here. I thought they were a natural thing, and they are. They are a grass fields are 100% natural thing in Europe. Not here.
Oh, what?
It was never a natural thing here. We imported all of that grass.
Kentucky bluegrass isn't really from Kentucky?
They
Son
call
of
it
a bitch.
they call it Kentucky bluegrass because they took a European grass and mated it with a wild grass that's from Kentucky and call it Kentucky bluegrass.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Damn, bro. See, you learn something new every day. But at the time, before this whole debacle just unfolded, I'd never even thought about that though. Like grass, I always figured like grass was native everywhere. Grass grew everywhere there wasn't snow or it wasn't too dry, right?
You won't regret it, Red Pill, not at all.
Yeah, $75 for that book? Hell yeah, that ain't bad at all. But yeah, like grass, I never
Cheaper
thought
than a
about
college book, and you get a 4-year college education. Straight up.
Hell yeah. And you kind of got to wonder. I had Zaza came out here, and he was looking around, and I guess he's really into agriculture and shit. I didn't know this, but Zaza's really into agriculture, and as we're driving, we're looking at, he's looking out the window and looking at all the trees and shit, and he goes, "Dude, you got a lot of non-native bushes, like a lot of shit that well, trees and bushes and shrubs and shit that that shouldn't grow out here in your climate. They're not from this climate." And I was like looking around, like, bro, what are you talking about? Like these trees have been here since I was born. But there's a lot of so there's the Spaniards and everybody that came from the fucking east and started migrating out here towards the west brought their own fucking plants, right? Brought weed plants, and you'll see landrace strains throughout the southern United States that just grow wildly because they had brought weed with them that had just so happened to plant, and now you got a landrace strain out here. But it's the same thing that goes with like all the plants, and I never thought about that. Like Cali is so diverse in the plants that can grow out here that you wouldn't think that, hey, that plant didn't originally come from here, or that grass doesn't actually belong here. It shouldn't grow. Like, how'd it get here, kind of thing, right? And cannabis is the same way, like Granddaddy Purple didn't come from Cali. I mean, it might have came from Cali, but you know what I'm saying? The original plant didn't come from here.
Well, and here's the thing. Kid Crow kind of brought up an interesting thing. Have you noticed that America doesn't really have its own landrace strains? And here's the thing. America does. And it did. And they grew outside of the front of the White House for many years. And they grew alongside of rivers for many years. And that was all natural cannabis that came from America. But then we had this thing called the drug war.
Yeah.
And we spent hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars going through the entire United States eradicating any cannabis. So we killed all of our landrace strains. That's the difference.
Almost. So I hear allegedly down in Arizona. No, not Arizona. New Mexico. There's a strain that grows out there wildly, and people tried to farm it and whatnot. It's a landrace, but it was brought over by the people who were migrating to the west, and they had dropped some seeds there, and over time they had grown and became this landrace strain. Well, the government tried to come in and eradicate it, but they fucked up, and now it just fucking grows. And I guess they keep an eye on it or something. I don't know. My boy was telling me this. He goes, "Yeah, if you want a landrace strain, there's a couple that grow in the United States, and he's got one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but he's got one of them." And he was like, "If you want it, man, I'll give you a couple seeds and see what you do with it."
Hell yeah, that'd be dope. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you create a landrace strain? You don't really create one. Nature creates it. The reason they're called landrace strains is because no human was involved in creating that strain. There wasn't a person going, "I'm going to plant this plant next to this plant." There wasn't even that. It was all nature. And wherever the wind took the pollen, wherever the animals took the pollen, wherever the plants ended up, that's how they ended up. And they started mixing and creating their own strains and survived by the survival of the fittest. And that's why they're the landrace strains.
Yeah.
Technically, you can try to do that like synthetically by planting 500,000 different plants out in a field and just let them go for 10 years and see what happens. But at the end of the day, we destroyed history that you cannot get back.
Yeah, and as I think about what he was fucking asking, like, or what he was saying, like, you really, so like Mexico's got landrace strains. I don't think Canada has landrace strains. Too cold up there. They might. I could be wrong.
They do.
But
There's There's cannabis grows on every single continent on this planet except 2: the North Pole and Antarctica.
Yeah. But like, there's history of it, right? There's history of, you can find Afghan, that shit. Everybody knows Afghani weed fucking just grows naturally, right? And they got farms and shit. But there's no, no one's ever gonna be like, yeah, I got that American land race, yo. You know, the last one in existence, kind of thing. Like, there is, at least I don't know of any strains that were originally from, you know, North America area.
Well, and that's the thing. You're not going to know them.
Yeah,
They didn't have names, and we destroyed many of them. They just didn't. The whole naming scheme started in Dutch area.
The coffee shops and shit.
Yeah. Before then, there was no real naming scheme. This was like, oh, here's some good shit.
Yeah, I got this weed. I got this marijuana.
And then when breeders and people started making very specific cannabis that they could repeat over and over, that's when names started coming along.
Try to differentiate. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta wonder, like, cookies came from somewhere, right? Where did cookies come from? Well, I bet you the original strain is out there. It's just called something else. I don't know. Yeah, the whole thing.
Right,
got the shit that killed Elvis. There you go.
And that's the thing with the whole naming conventions of strains nowadays and everything. Like, people get mad, understandably so, when they buy a Mac #1 seed and it doesn't look, smell, or you taste anything like Mac. And I understand that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a difference between the genetic and a phenotype. What you tasted and what you liked was a particular phenotype of Mac #1. What you bought was a grab basket of Mac #1, and you could find that flavor in that seed.
But it's never going to be.
But it's never going to be the same. And this is why when very prevalent strains are around and people go, why is it $1,200 for a cut? Why is it $10,000 for a cut? Because when you buy a cut, you're buying that exact pheno. You don't have to sort through 1,000 seeds to find that flavor. Now, if you don't have the money and you have more time, maybe you'll sort through the seeds.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that, huh?
And there is no such thing as a clone-only strain at all. All right? That's not a thing, and it will never be a thing. The only reason it's called clone-only is because that's the only way you're going to get this motherfucker.
Never even heard of that.
Well, and there's some nurseries in different places that are marketing on the fact that this plant can't ever be seeded and this, that, the other thing. That's a false lie, 100% lie. Yeah. There is no such thing as a clone-only strain at all. Now, here's the thing. If you buy a clone-only strain and then you seed it out, you're going to get seeds. The only difference is they might have, and this is very, very slight, might have a little bit of right to try to sue you civilly. It is not a criminal infraction, but they can try to sue you for trying to copy their work. That's it.
Yeah. That's I made that strain kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I always wanted that. Like, so I've had people like come up to me and be like, hey, yo, you can grow out my strain. Yeah, I'm going to give you some testers, right? And I always tell them the same thing. Like, just to put their mind at ease, because it's not my creation, right? I didn't make it. I'm just growing it out. I got the privilege to grow it out. So I always tell them the same thing. Like, bro, unless you want me to, All the males I'm killing off. I'm not collecting any pollen, nothing like that. I'm gonna just, grow the plant and harvest the bud off there. That's it. I'm not fucking with your product. I'm not, it's not mine. It's not my product to be like, yeah, I made this kind of thing. Like, nah. So I always tell people the same thing. Like, yeah, if I'm growing your shit out, any males that I get, I'm not fucking with them unless unless you give me permission to, kind of thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah, S1s are pretty close to original because that means it was selfed one time. So that means it was reversed and bred with itself one time. So therefore, it's going to give off a ton of female seeds, and they're going to be pretty consistent in those seeds.
Oh shit. Where
But
did you get the product that started with?
but here's the problem with the S1s and feminized seeds. That's pretty much what a feminized seed is an S1. They always will eventually have either nanners or eventually you'll find a hermaphrodite in there. And this isn't because of the breeder. This isn't because you did something wrong. This is purely numbers. The plant is trying to fucking survive. And if you're always making it be a female and it can never be pollinated, it will try to pollinate itself. This is a survival of the fittest.
Is it true? Is it true that not all plants will do that? There's some stronger genetics out there that will try to save their own genetics and pollinate themselves and try to preserve their own genetics. And then there's other plants that are just like, fuck it, that's it for me.
Yeah, there are plants like that, and usually growers and breeders say, fuck that plant.
Yeah.
Because if you're not strong and wanting to survive, why am I keeping you in my real estate?
Yep. My boy said the same thing. He goes, when you're breeding and the thing nanners out, keep that shit, bro. That's a strong genetic. That thing wants to preserve its life. I feel like when a plant herms out, it's gotten so lost in the community that now a hermaphrodite
is a nanner
or a plant with nanners is fucking bad.
Yeah, that's bad. And there's a huge difference between a hermaphrodite plant, a true 50-50 plant, and something that nanners in 10 weeks because you let it go a week longer than it should or something.
Yeah, that's a plant that wants to survive, right? A true hermaphrodite, it's growing balls or pollen sacs and pistils at the same time. That's a true hermaphrodite. But the ones that grow nanners, don't fucking kill them off. I'm telling you, man. Like, nanners get a bad rep, but really, that plant's just so strong that it's trying to preserve its own genetics. And I think that's where it gets lost. Like, everybody looks at nanners and hermaphrodites as the same thing. Oh shit, it's gonna pollinate my crop. I'm gonna lose the whole thing. It's gonna be seeded. You're not, unless it was a true hermaphrodite and it's got fucking pollen that's just going everywhere. A pack of nanners, you might get a few seeds here and there, but that's just take those seeds and grow them out. Take them and grow them out.
Like my black cherry cheesecake. A lot of people really love that one. It nanners every time.
It's a strong plant. Strong plant. Hell yeah. Yeah, I think it gets fucked up, because everybody's like, the big thing preached in the cannabis community is, the bud, the way the bud looks, the way the whole face value of the thing and how it comes out. And nanners are frowned upon because, well, now your bud's corrupted. Now you got seeds in there, kind of thing. And it's not true. Like, I got plants that herm out, and I'm fucking juiced about it. Hey, I got free seeds. I have my boy. He had a plant herm out, or he had a plant nanner on him, and he didn't know it. And I had gotten some seeds out of it, and I hit him up. I'm like, hey, bro, thanks for the fucking free genetics. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, you had a plant that hermed out on you and gave me seeds." He was like, "Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Grow those out." Shit,
Yeah, and
I
like
look at it as a gift.
it could grow, right? And like in Belgian man, he says a very important thing. It takes like 4 or 5 weeks for a seed to fully form. If you find a nanner on your plant and you're already 8, 9 weeks into fucking flower, you're not really gonna get a lot. You might find a seed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that whole the whole herm term got fucking tossed around in the community and got a bad name put on it. They're not bad.
Matter of
Real
fact,
herms.
yeah. I
Real herms
actually
could be a
did
problem.
a video a while back, I think, showing the extreme difference between what a nanner is and what a full out hermaphrodite plant is. Like a nanner is nothing compared to a hermaphrodite plant.
Yeah, yeah. But shit, I just saw what time it is. I gotta get up out of here and get these kids from Miss B.
I hear you. I hear you.
Shit, next week, bro, I would fucking love to dive into fucking hermaphrodites and nanners and fucking all that kind of shit. See if we could fucking, I don't know, drop some new opinions on the whole matter.
Right?
'Cause like I
Get it
said, I
out there
feel
a
like
little
the whole
more.
community is, yeah, I feel like the community is a little bit lost in the whole like hermaphrodite nanner thing, and I think that'd be a good topic to touch on.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But I appreciate y'all for joining us. I do got to get up out of here and get these kids. Don't forget, hey, tonight I told y'all we triple dipping today. But tonight we got that caffeine and conspiracies with the homie Craze. I don't know if y'all are down, but come on, dip your toes in. Come dip into some conspiracies with us.
Hell yeah. Make
But
sure
hell
you go
yeah.
check it out.
Hell yeah. And then, like I said in my stream, the homie Trey Strongs. I don't know if y'all know Trey, but the homie Trey Strongs, he's on his own time, his own schedule on when he goes live. Wednesdays he's been lightweight hitting it, so maybe he'll go live tonight. I don't know. Y'all gonna have to tune in and find out. I'll try to keep y'all updated though.
Mm-hmm.
But hell yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for joining us.
Hell yeah.
Till next
Appreciate you
time, though.
for coming on in and having a chat,
Hell yeah, bro. Hey, I'm glad you're fucking healing up and getting to that 100% stage again.
Hey, let's
Fucking
go.
blinging on all of us, yo. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. I'm out. I'm gonna catch y'all.
Hell yeah. Later, beat. Peace.
Hell yeah.